Okay, go ahead.
The trial is progressing as expected. We put on several witnesses today to prove up the level of intoxication and the voluntariness of her drinking and consumption of alcoholic beverages. One of the most important witnesses was a TABC agent who went in and took the videos from the place where the defendant was drinking on the rocks. When he watched the video, he saw that she was dancing, she was having fun, and more importantly, she consumed at least 21 alcoholic beverages over the time period that she was there. Also today was the DPS trooper that obtained the blood samples from the defendant at the hospital. The trooper also took several pictures of the scene that showed the carnage caused by the defendant as the result of driving the wrong way on Interstate 45. The victims' vehicles, the pictures of their vehicles, and pictures of the victims as they laid in the car after being killed by the defendant were entered and published in evidence today for the jury to see. So the jury's got a pretty good picture now of exactly what happened and what led up to the crash. The only evidence left for us tomorrow will be a couple of other witnesses on DNA and the blood results and the cause of death. Although it's pretty obvious from the witnesses, we still have to put on a medical examiner to talk about that. And then tomorrow we'll probably end with a witness by the name of David Paras, who is the surviving victim from the vehicle. And we should be resting sometime tomorrow afternoon, maybe on Thursday morning.
What about the video today? They actually had a video that they were able to capture from camera just almost by accident of the vehicle getting on the freeway.
The team of law enforcement officials working on this case is fantastic that they're all able to come together and work as a team to solve crimes such as this one. But because of DPS's work, we were able to get video of the defendant driving the wrong way on Interstate 45. Because of the work of TABC, we were able to get a video of the defendant in the bar drinking and counting up the number of alcoholic beverages that she consumed that evening. Also because of a police officer who used to be with Shenandoah, Todd Schmaltz. He had the insight to record conversations that the defendant was having at the scene and at the hospital. So because of that, we have what's unprecedented is video footage of pretty much everything leading up to the crash and the investigation after the crash. So that is, I'm very proud of the law enforcement and their effort in coming together and work on this case. Also, Oscar Williams with TABC watched multiple hours of video footage to put together a collage of all the times that the defendant was drinking, when she was stumbling, and when somebody may or may not have put something in her beverage, as the defense claims. He shot that down pretty much today because of his good and extensive work.
Cameras are awful clear. I mean, the images are clear and crisp, aren't they?
The video images that we presented are pretty clear, and the jury gets a very good image of what happened. The technology in these cases today, when they're used properly by law enforcement and defense attorneys or anybody, can be very helpful for a jury to see. And we think that's what's going to happen in this case. Is we've got so much good video footage and technological evidence in this case that I think the jury's going to get a pretty good picture of what happened.
What is she looking at time-wise in something like this, in a case like this?
For intoxication manslaughter, a person is looking at 2 to 20 years in prison or 2 to 10 years probation. For intoxication assault, the punishment range is 2 to 10 years in prison and or 2 to 10 years probation. Because they are intoxication manslaughter cases, any sentences could be stacked by the judge, not by the jury. The judge has the ability to stack the cases if he chooses. And we will be asking the judge, if there's a guilty verdict, to stack the cases.
Which would be a maximum of what, of stacking the cases?
If she receives if she receives the maximum sentences from the jury of 20, 20, and 10, she could be looking at as much as 50 years in prison for this offense.
No, there was a finding of a weapon, basically being the vehicle, is a weapon. Now that'll be what, that as far as paroling, that's would have to do half her time before she's eligible for parole, right?
As is typical in these cases when a motor vehicle causes a violent death, our prosecutors allege that the vehicle was a deadly weapon, and in fact, in this case, it caused 2 deaths and serious bodily injury to 1. What that means is that any sentence a person gets, they'll have to serve at least half of it before they're eligible for parole. However, if the sentences are stacked, the person will have to serve out the entire sentence on one case before they even begin serving another case. So in theory, if a person receives a 20-year sentence stacked on top of a 20-year sentence, they'd have to serve the entire 20-year sentence first before they started serving the second sentence. So in theory, a person could be in prison for 30 years on 2 20-year stacked sentences.